Coach, congratulations once again. First, what do you do with your latest Olympic medal? Where do you house it? Where do you keep it? And can you compare winning a gold medal as a head coach and winning a national championship as a head coach?
Well, the gold medal is still in Tokyo because coaches don't get one. And then just comparing it as a national championship and a gold medal as a head coach. I mean, the load is a heavy load to bear when it's, when you're representing your country on the biggest stage of, any athletic event. I mean, the pressure is still the same, but letting down a fan base is a little bit less, it's less hard than letting down your entire country. But the gratification and the relief is all the same when you're able to accomplish it.
David, and then we'll go to Howard.
But also just our fan base is a little harsh, so they probably have the anger of an entire country if we lose a national championship game.
That's the right addendum to that, Coach. I think that's right. David, go ahead, and then we'll go to Howard.
Well, no comment on that one, but Donna, thanks for doing this. But you mentioned, the pressure of being Team USA coach. I was just wondering if you could go into detail about how much of that you felt in Tokyo. I think you mentioned some sleepless nights. Just what was it like getting up to the gold medal game?
I mean, it's a pressure that just builds and builds and builds and builds. And you have to unleash it somewhere. And I felt like I did it by diving into watching a lot of film. I also did it by, Coach Boyer was there. So we played a lot of gin rummy. I played a lot of solitaire just by myself, just to kind of get myself thinking about just imagining and visualizing. And, I wasn't a visualizer when I was a player. And I find myself more visualizing because there isn't anything you can do really, because you just provide a game plan, and it's the player's job to execute it. So you spend a lot of hours just thinking about plan B, C, D, and E, and it's bothersome if you have to actually plan that far down the list of what could happen, the possibilities of something happening. And fortunately for us, we didn't have to delve too far into, the game plan B, because our players really, they elevate. Every time there's a need to elevate, they always have been able to give us what we need in those moments in Olympic Games.
Howard, and then we'll go to Pete.
Dawn, congratulations. I have two for you if I could. The first is, obviously there was a bit of an arc in terms of how this team came together, whether it's the early losses or, even the game against Nigeria was obviously more of a battle than I think a lot of people thought. I wonder what the point was where it was clear to you that this was a team that was going to win gold.
Yeah, there was an arc. Because, when you're coaching it, very early on in Vegas, where you're trying to see what your team is all about. You're trying to see where you can how deep you can go. And I thought I went pretty deep in Vegas just to see that, because it's, a marathon is not won in the first mile, and we were in the first mile of our journey. And we had to figure some things out. And then the point that I knew that we were going to win was the game against Australia, like quarterfinals. That is when everything went to another level. And maybe we didn't play super well against Serbia, but it was, the way we got up for the Australia game, the quarterfinal game, a game in which we lost to them in Vegas a month before. So it just kind of just bottlenecked to that point where we knew we were going to get the job done. We weren't going to be deterred from winning a seventh gold medal.
And just if I could, I know you've decided to leave the role, and you suggested that Cheryl ought to be the coach. I think Cheryl is said she thinks you ought to be the coach. I'm wondering, have you entirely closed the door to it, and why you think Cheryl ought to be the next coach at this point? I
mean, here's the thing. USA basketball has always been a big part of my life. And somebody, when I said that shortly after, just kind of equated it to, and it's nothing against, women who have just given birth, but they equated to, you ask a woman, post giving birth, does she want to have another baby? And her immediate response is no. But then you see how much that baby gives you so much joy. You start thinking about it. I'm probably 9-10 days removed from it. I feel a little bit differently now, because a sense of relief. But do I feel like there's a coach out there named Cheryl Reeve that could get it done? Absolutely. She's been around the game. She understands it. Her basketball mind is unmatched. She has a really good understanding of how to coach pros. And it's a delicate balance when you're the Olympic coach. It isn't like coaching South Carolina or the Minnesota Lynx. So it's a delicate balance that you have to keep players super confident, but also you got to keep your thumb on them a little bit, just so they understand that there's pressure to it, and we as coaches can't get in the way of that and allow the players to do their thing. And then when they need a little nudge here or there, you have to give it to them there. I even have like Coach Boyer, who was on our staff. She saw me coach a little bit differently than I coach in South Carolina, and she really doesn't understand the balance of it, because she's like, ugh. and I've been a player in that situation, and I know what I want. I want a cool, calm, collected coach that knows when to step in and say, hey, this is what needs to get done. And a coach that says, hey, let your players, trust your players. They've been here before. So it's a delicate balance in coaching an Olympic team. I don't think any coach can coach an Olympic team. I don't, because that balance has to be struck, in a way that the players know that what you're doing, and the coach knows that what a player can do. So it is, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing if you haven't experienced it in some form or fashion.
Thanks, Dawn.
Pete, and then we'll go to Matt.
Dawn, before I ask the question I planned, I got to ask, are you making news? Are you now saying that you might want to be the coach of the team in Paris in 3 years from now?
I mean, if Cheryl's the woman, I don't want to get in her way. I mean, she was one of the people too that, once she found out, she was like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? She did say that. So I mean, I'm gonna leave it as, if Cheryl's the one, she's the one. If they choose to go in a different direction and come back here, I've never turned USA basketball down.
But I wanted to ask, given the idea that you were not going to be the coach, when you think about your journey with USA basketball, I mean, when you started at the Olympics, you talk about a fan base or a country that wanted results. I mean, going to Atlanta, people wanted your team to bring the results, and you, throughout your career in Olympic basketball, have brought those results. Have you stopped to think about, the enormity of that kind of growth that you've had and that impact you've had on USA basketball?
I haven't, because the pressure was so thick that you don't want to, you don't want to shortchange that moment, because if we have to go back to 96, I was a player that was a participant and just really into the games and had a real say in some outcomes. You know, as a coach, you do have some say, very little, but it's up to the players. But I just thought that, you know, anytime you host an Olympic Games, there's an investment that the host country puts into their athletes and their teams. And that's what we had in 96 to get everything going. And then from there on, you know, USA Basketball has done a great job investing in both teams. And we feel really good about where we are, that we have an opportunity to be who we are. And that is the #1 team in the world. And that's because we, you know, we're invested in. and when you're invested in, we put a product on the floor that, you know, our entire country and, you know, the world, you know, respects. They may not always like the fact that we win, and we do it in a fashion in which make people think it's easy. And it's not an easy task to continuously do what we've done, you know, over the past 7 Olympic Games. We're just very fortunate that we have the commitment of the players. We have the commitment of great coaching staffs that put us in positions to, and the backing of USA Basketball and the NBA and all those sponsors that give so much to allow our team to train and to be in a good space once we're at an Olympic Games to give our very best.
Thanks.
Matt, and then Augusta.
Hey, Dawn, congratulations. Good to see you back here in the US. I just wanted to ask you about Asia. And obviously, we all know your journey with her. What was it like for you to watch her put on a performance in a gold medal game on her birthday, and then to actually see her on the podium with the gold medal? I'm just wondering what your emotions were like watching that.
I mean, super proud, but not surprised. I mean, Asia Wilson, I mean, she told me throughout the Olympic Games that she wasn't going to let me in particular lose. She's like, I'm not going to let you lose. I said, I asked her the night before the gold medal game, and I'm like, are we going to win? She was just like, yeah, I told you that. I got you. Like she would say, I got you. And, you know, it's scary because she's a first timer. I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, you know, she's not the point guard. You know, people got to get her the ball in order for her to perform in that way. But Asia just had that look on her face. She had the aura around her to kind of just let me know that familiarity of seeing her in her element gave me great comfort. You know, well, unlike, you know, her steal or blocking a shot or getting the steal and going down the right side of the court and smoking a right-handed layup, that gave me a little angst every time that happened in the game. But she rebounded from that to perform at a super high level. I think Asia has been passed the baton, like so many of USA Basketball participants. She and Breanna Stewart are staples on Olympic teams. I'm not on a committee, but I surely wouldn't lead the country without those two.
Augusta, and then Chandler.
Hi, Dawn. Welcome back to the States. I wanted to know, you know, as you're getting settled back in, what have been your first priorities, you know, personally, and then working with the Gamecocks, you know, what's been like catching back up with the team and coaches, and what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, yesterday was my first day back, and we practiced that from 10 to 12 yesterday and today. And when you've accomplished something as big as winning a gold medal at the Olympic Games, you know, there's somewhat of a relief that sets in, and you're just like, God, like, I mean, I was counting down the days to when I had to come into the office, and the closer I got, the more I was like, damn, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I need about another week. But then you come in here and you prep for practice, and you go out to practice and you see what you got. And immediately I'm like, this is where I belong. Like, this is like, was I dreading this? Because we've got a pretty darn good team that's committed to each other, that's committed to playing basketball the right way. And I mean, it was just beautiful to be back in the gym in this way. So I've, they've helped me rejuvenate and get to a place where, I'm happy. It's my happy place. And then our staff, we sit around and we talk about what we need to do, to continue this path of getting our players to a place where we can compete for a national championship. And with this team, we're not even thinking about beyond this particular team, and it's going to be pretty fun.
Chandler and then Brad.
Hey, Coach, just want to say, first off, congrats on everything. Thanks for doing this today. When you consider everything that, Team USA had to go through this year, going to Tokyo and the COVID situation there, and then this is your first Olympic gold medal as the head coach of Team USA, and you were able to also get Asia a gold medal, Olympic gold medals as well. Do you feel this one is the greatest one you've won in your career?
The greatest, wow. And Asia got me a gold medal. I didn't really get her a gold medal but the greatest, this one was probably the most pressure packed. This is the one I felt the most like responsible for. And I got this autographed basketball. And it's signed by every single Olympic coach. And Coach Boyer actually got me this for my birthday years ago. Like it had to be probably, it was when I was at Temple. And not knowing that one day that I will get to sign my own ball as the Olympic coach. And you just reminded me, just from your question, like what does it feel like? I feel like signing my ball. That's what I do. That's what I feel like doing because it's a relief. It's a relief. So it's the greatest. It's the greatest as a coach, and I've done it as 2 times as an assistant coach, and this time as the head coach, because of just the relief I feel from being able to accomplish it.
Brad, and then we'll close it out with Pete.
Coach, assuming if you are not the head coach at the next Olympics, after seeing one of your other former players win gold in the 3-on-3 tournament at the Olympics with Alicia Gray, any interest in coaching that next time around?
No, I'm a 5-on-5 girl. but I said I did ask Alicia if I said, Alicia, I said, would you want to do it again in Paris? She's like, no. She was like, no, that was hard. She was like, that was extremely hard. She said she would do it 5-on-5 though. So that's cool to know that, she wants that feeling again in a different, in a different way in the 5x5.
Pete, and then I guess David snuck his hand in late, so we'll close it out. Didn't get the first one, so you'll get the last one.
Dawn, while you were gone, the NCAA dropped that report about the inequities between men's and women's basketball. Didn't know if you saw it. Didn't know if you had any thoughts on it. And do you think what do you think of the report and some of the suggestions? Do you think it can bring real change?
Yeah. I saw the report, and I had every intentions to read the report on our flight home from Tokyo. Didn't quite get to that. And I really haven't gotten to it, but I've looked at it when it came out, meaning I looked at what was in it. People just kind of paraphrase what's in it. I'm not surprised at the findings of it. I was surprised that they let it out for everyone to see. And I think that is a great starting point, is the transparency of it. And now that we know that what we lived through wasn't a lie, it was a very real thing. And now that we know, I just hope that moving forward that we can address it, so no other female student athlete will experience it in that way in the public and have to be distracted from the task at hand. And I know things will change because of it. And, looking forward to actually experience the change as a participant.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead, David.
Don, a couple of questions for you. Do you know when they have to choose the next Team USA coach? I mean, what's the timeline on that?
I don't know when they have to choose, but we're already into, this quadrant. We're already into it. Like the World Cup is next fall. So I'm sure they're gonna probably announce a coach, and I'm not pushing USA basketball by any means, but I'm sure they're going to announce another coach pretty soon, because there'll probably be a training camp in November and another one in February, and then the World Cup will be sometime in next September or so.
And who won the most games, Jen, you or Boyer?
Boyer and I I was used to playing spades, two-handed spades. She and I were just doing that for a while. And then she changed the game to, Jen, rummy. And I couldn't quite make the adjustment. So she beat me early on. And then I finally got a feel for how the game has to be played, and I got her. I needed that though. She probably let me win so I could release some of the pressure that I was feeling. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.